racing today is from Seymour, and one jockey that won't be there today due to some unfortunate circumstances yesterday at Sale is Chris Symons, and he joins me online now. Chris, first of all, good morning to you, and mate, what's happened?
Hey Dino, had a little accident yesterday at Sale Races. Not on horseback either. It was in the car park after the races. I was putting my gear into the back of my car, and luckily I looked behind and saw there was a car heading towards me in reverse. I thought it was one of the boys playing a joke until I realised it wasn't at any moment going to stop. So I jumped into the boot of my car, which was open, and unfortunately my left foot didn't make it, and the car ploughed into the back of my car, and my foot was in between the two, and looks to have broken my foot. And that wasn't the painful part. The painful part was banging on the back of the bloke's window and telling him to drive forward so I could pull my foot out from between the two cars.
It sounds like you're very lucky there. Obviously, you would have had some, obviously a lot of swelling. Now, you went to hospital after that. Have you had further scans and pinpointed how long you'll be out for, or the extent of the injuries?
Yeah, well, not sure at this stage. When the incident occurred, I laid on the ground crying like a baby, and they called an ambulance, and to be honest, I really wanted to get to Epworth instead of going to Sale or Traralgon. So I saw all the jockeys in the car park. They were all on their phones. I thought they were all ringing for ambulances, but it turned out they were all ringing up for my rides during the week. But I ended up getting Damien Lane. He drove me to Epworth last night, where they did a couple of x-rays, and the x-rays came up as if there wasn't any broken bones. So I explained to the doctor that, you know, it was the size of a football for a reason, and I wasn't happy with the first prognosis. And so they did a CAT scan and revealed that there were a couple of broken bones on the top of my foot. So at this stage, because of the swelling, I'm not sure where I'm at or where it sits. So worst case scenario, they might have to do an operation on it. That's absolute worst case scenario. Best case scenario is a bit of rest and get the swelling out of it, and hopefully be back in the saddle in 3 to 4 weeks.
I noticed your rides did go very quickly for the upcoming weekend. And Chris, there's always been an urban myth, punters, trainers, other jockeys want to fix up a jockey in the car park. But did you think that it ever would actually happen?
No. I suppose I picked up the ride on Winchester last week, and Tom Sadler was wrapped with the ride, and I didn't think Tommy Sadler was that upset that I picked up the ride, but obviously he took it to another level by accident, we all know. Poor bugger, he feels terrible. If I had known that these tactics were acceptable, I'd probably, Williams, Boss and Oliver wouldn't be probably riding today.
I mean, it's one thing to steal your rides through ringing up, different trainers, but to run you down on a car park, it certainly has taken it to a different level. Just touching on Winchester, you rode the horse first up the other day. It's the first time we've had a good look at him. It was certainly the eye-catcher of the race. Yeah,
he definitely was. And look, I spoke to John and Troy prior to the race and the connections, and the main objective was to get the horse to relax in the first half of the race and just increase the tempo around the turn, and to have a clear run in the straight. And unfortunately they went pretty slow, but the sectionals that he reeled off his last 600 in were pretty outstanding, and he gave me the feel of a really good horse, and I think he's going to be a real main contender in the Melbourne Cup.
Absolutely. Of course, we are concerned about your wealth. Sorry, not your wealth. You are very wealthy, but your health. But this certainly won't help turnover.
No, definitely not. And that's the sad thing about it. But I try and me well enough. I try to look at the positives in life, and I know it's hard to find a positive out of this. But obviously, if I didn't jump in the boot of the car, I'm sure it would have been a lot worse. Probably both legs would have been snapped. and I'm luckily enough, I'm in a position where I suppose I've got a lot of meaty things coming up over the carnival, so hopefully I can get involved in that pretty heavily and make an earn out of that.
Just touching on that, I know you'll have a lot of spare time now, and that'll free up an opportunity to do a few extra things, as you mentioned there. And we'd certainly love to have you part of TVN, maybe doing a few things Friday nights or over the next coming days. Obviously, we want you on the racetrack riding plenty of winners, but with this free time, I dare say surfing is out of the question.
Yeah, that's for sure. I won't be able to get down at the surf, but obviously it'll put a standstill on a few of my skips as well, but no doubt I'll find something to do.
All right, Chris, will you rest up and keep us updated with the extent of that injury? And hopefully, as I said, it's nothing major. And as you pointed out, it could have been a lot worse, and made a speedy recovery, and we'll talk soon.
No worries, Dino. Thanks for the chat.
Oh, there's Chris Symons there. He will be on the sidelines. Obviously, best case scenario, about a week, but obviously more scans to be taken on that foot. And yeah, as he pointed out, could have been a lot more serious.